So we're back and recording with sound. Whoops. So this is the space. It's a good sized room, but there's not a huge amount of space to work in here. So what I'm planning to do first, instead of getting the plinth down, I'm actually going to instead of getting the plinth down first, I'm going to actually build the double wardrobe carcass while there's space, because it's going to be a bit tight once that plinth goes down. Again, carcass build is going to be very similar to every other one, but yes, with a few sound effects on this one, probably. I'm trying to think what the last cabinet build I did was. I think it was the ones up in the loft space. In which case you wouldn't have seen this flooring before. These clients have just had a new carpet fitted. So anywhere there's a new carpet, or where there's hardwood floors, or anywhere where I need to build stuff, to be honest, I put sheets of hardboard down. These are just sort of 6 foot by 2 foot sheets of hardboard. It's a firmer surface than Corex. You can build on it easily, especially if it's on carpet. Corex tend to sort of sink in a bit, and if you drop a drill or a chisel or something, then it doesn't generally go through the board. Whereas with Corex, I believe, it's never happened to me, but I believe it can go straight through. So with the double carcass built, I can bring the plinth in, and it's about now that I realise that the bad day was still going strong. Yeah, about that. Oh dear. I can't believe I did that. Oh goodness. This is what happens when you do this sort of stuff quickly. Yes, in my haste to build a plinth, I've completely forgotten that the wall was angled. So, using the top box as a template, I can mark up the plinth for a quick trim. So anything we can't handle with a bit of minor adjustment. In case it's not clear, in case you can't see from there, I completely forgot when I built the plinth to cut the corner off. Unbelievable. So yeah, fairly obviously it's not going to fit as it is. So we'll just trim that back and all will be well. I've got to say, although it's a stupid thing to do, I'm quite relieved. I thought for a minute I completely miscalculated the size of the wardrobes. Ooh, that would be significantly less amusing. There we are. So with a plinth now more or less the right shape, I can level this up in the usual way, using wooden wedges to find the level, then securing little wooden feet to the floor with brackets, then screwing the feet to the plinth, and always checking for level as you move along the workpiece. Almost inevitably, there's an electrical outlet behind the single wardrobe, so I'm using my Corex trick to mark the position, then transfer this to the backing board, and cutting out the opening with a multi-tool. And yes, I probably should have gone back down to the van to get my template instead of trying to do this freehand. With the opening completed, I can fix the back to the carcass with my usual narrow crown staples. Then remove the screws holding the outlet in place and carefully move the wardrobe into position. So because this isn't a new build, Because this isn't a new build, there's not as much room to play with in the cabling behind here. So I'll have to just suck it through a bit more carefully. Tricky.
With a single carcass in place, I can manhandle the double alongside it.
Wardrobe fitting, the art of gently kicking things into place. Now, if you've seen my previous cabinet builds, right about now you'd be expecting me to use my favourite sort of tongue-tight screws, tiny little lost head screws, to secure the carcass to the plinth. I've been having a bit of a chat with subscriber Thomas Kitchen. Hi Tom. And Tom put me onto these guys. They're called Lost Tight, from the same firm, same company as Tongue Tight, I believe. Focus. You know you can. Tiny little screw, but the critical difference between these and Tongue Tight is that they come in different sizes. Tongue Tight only comes in 45mm long, which is a bit hefty sometimes, whereas these come in 32, so absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much to Tom for putting me onto these, and if you've got any questions or any comments, stick them in the comments of the relevant video and I'll always get back to you, and we can always have a bit of a chat there. So right, I'm going to secure the cabinets down, the carcasses down with my new favourite screws, and then we can start sort of tidying up the rest of it.
With the carcasses clamped tightly, I'm doing my usual trick of fixing them together with a few screws that get hidden behind the hinge plates.
Incidentally, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but when you fix hinge plates, certainly with the Bloom hinges that I use most of the time, they have a little, on the plate itself, if you focus, there we are, has a little arrow on the hole at the front there. It's pointing forwards, and that basically means that that arrow should always be pointing outwards. It's amazing the number of people who fit these hinges and put them the wrong way around it, because they almost fit but they just don't, and the sort of thing that drives you crazy. But yeah, that little arrow should always point outwards when you're fitting these. And as before, when you've got 3 hinges on a door, I fit the top one in the right place. I just leave the bottom 2 loose because it makes it easier to get the door on and then adjusted.
Now, one of the things that you haven't seen me do back at the workshop was to route a shallow groove in the tops of the wardrobe carcasses, and these take a small angled bracket that fixes them to the wall. With the carcasses securely fixed, I can now add on the top boxes.
It's all about balance. God, that was heavy.
Once settled into position, the top boxes are fixed to the wardrobes with a couple of small screws directly through the base of each, and are secured to each other with the usual screws behind the hinge plates.
When I get a wideish span like this, I usually put a couple of screws just in the middle, through the top shelf, at the top of the base of the top box, straight down. Because you see, even now, it's just getting a little bit saggy, a little bit gappy, and that won't get better over time. So a couple of screws in there just to pull that up nice and tight, stops this sort of gappiness appearing.